What's up, everybody? The coat drive in January and December uh, was completely successful. I'm extremely happy with the result of it. We had tons of people donate stuff, and then we had about $140, $160 to spend after that. We took it all to Goodwill on a first Saturday of the month. So we had so many coats, so much stuff that it filled up that whole corner back there, stacked on top of the piano, stacked on top of the speakers and the couch. There was barely any room to move around. Definitely couldn't be playing piano while that was going on. It was really awesome. We took everything downtown. I think there was a group of about five of us. Um, and we handed out stuff to we went to a few different shelters that we gave bags of clothing to, and then we also went down to the Circle of Indianapolis and handed stuff out to individual people. It was a crazy experience. And of course, when we went to do this, we planned on taking cameras and filming it, doing a whole bunch of stuff like that. Kind of, I guess the idea was to say, hey, you didn't donate money or clothing for nothing. We actually did something with this. But when we got there, it got really personal really fast, and we ended up turning off all the cameras. We got a few shots of like when we went to the shelters, and those will probably be in this video, but especially when we were handing it out individually, we just couldn't record. It just didn't feel right to be like, here, take this coat while I hold a $600 camera in front of you and film your reaction. It it was wrong. So we didn't end up doing that at all. Um, Really, it was weird. There was a lot more conversation than people getting taking coats. Majority of people, I mean, obviously a lot of people took coats, but the people we spent the most time with didn't even want anything. They said, "Hey, go give it to that guy over there. Hey, whatever." There was it was crazy, and the conversations were great. We laughed, we cried, I mean, it was an emotional roller coaster, and I feel like we really got to know some people, and it was an amazing experience that I expected it, but I didn't expect it like that. Um, it was next level, really. There was a guy that didn't accept any coats, really didn't have much conversation, didn't even really like seek out any attention. And he sat there, and we asked him, "Hey, do you want anything?" He just kind of like, "No, I'm okay. Go over there. She could use some conversation or stuff like that." But then as we were leaving, he was extremely appreciative, even though we didn't really talk to him. He didn't take anything. As we were leaving, he just, shouted out to us like, "Hey, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming out and doing this." And I, it, it was just so different than I expected it to be. Um, it was difficult emotionally and physically. And it was funny because you couldn't, it's not really funny at all, but it, it was cold. We were all uncomfortable, but it didn't matter, and you couldn't let it matter because like if you think it's cold, you just got out of your warm car and you've been walking around for 10, 20 minutes and you think it's cold. These people are sitting out there for days and days. They don't have anywhere to go. They've barely got enough warmth going on. People's shoes were wet, their socks were wet, they had frostbite, but most of them, I mean, people talked about their situation, but nobody really just complained. We heard things that changed my view about people. We heard things that it changed my view about the world that I cannot repeat here. I can't even tell you the stories that we heard because most of them are not even I couldn't. They're not appropriate. They're not mine to share either. But it was just, of course, it was humbling. I'm kind of at a loss for words, honestly, on a lot of it. But the experience was amazing. It has inspired us to do more and make sure that we constantly do more. Make sure that we inspire other people to do more. Some of these people were out there because they had a great job, slipped on some ice, and messed up their bodies and lost their job, lost their ability to work, and then ended up on the street. So, as here, I hope you get better, they lost everything. I People talk about, I want to work really hard to not end up being homeless. I want to make sure that I make ends meet, make sure I can pay the rent, so on and so forth. When most of the time it doesn't even come down to that. It comes down to a couple of minutes in your life that can completely change the direction that you could have never seen coming, and there was nothing you could do about it. Those are the kind of people that are out there that need our help. It's not because anybody's lazy. It's not because people are too drugged out. It's not because people just feel like being homeless. Now, while there are obviously people like that out there, we can't sit here knowing that people need help and that we can help. I don't make a lot of money, but I sure make enough money to make a difference. And instead of sitting on that and just spending it on going to movies and doing what I want to do, there are people that can't do the things they need to do. And I'm not saying we should all just donate all the money we make. I'm not, nothing in that line. But even your presence, these people need to be recognized as people, and they just want somebody to talk to, somebody to listen to them talk about their story, and recognize that there is a story there. They're not somebody that's just sitting there as a fixture. They're not objects. And I feel like, well, everybody knows that. We fail to give it recognition. We fail to make sure we take the time out to make sure these people know that there are people out there that care for them. I don't want to ramble on too long, but I felt like it was really important to share this. So going forward, we made a decision this year, in this next winter, we're actually going to do the coat drive, the collection drive, in November. Um, October, November area, kind of throughout December. Try to hand stuff out before it gets really cold. And also from the experience, we learned that coats, well, obviously anything is appreciated. We think we should focus more on like blankets, scarves, hats, gloves like that, even like new socks, um, shoes, boots, anything in that kind of realm. The main reason I say like blankets more than coats is because, you know, I can give a small person a really big coat and they can wear it over whatever else they have on, and it will keep them warm, it will do the job. But if you have somebody that is larger, you can't give them a small coat. Um and we ran into that a couple of times. Now, we did have a lot of larger coats. We did have a few hats, things like that. But it it was a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be to make sure people got what they needed from us, or at least what we could give them, because it's a little bit more on a size basis there. Now, if we had a lot of blankets, people can wrap themselves in that over whatever they've got going on already. People could fold it up and set it on the ground so they have something to sit on that's not just concrete, or grass or whatever. I feel like they're just quite a bit more versatile, and we're actually working on a design for like a coat blanket poncho mix thing, and I'll keep you updated on that. But next year when we go out, we want it to be a little bit of a bigger event. Not necessarily like, we don't want it to be attention seeking in any kind of way. But if we could get out there with 50 to 75 people or more and kind of split up into factions, 3 to 5 people a piece, everybody gets quite a few things to hand out. And then that way they can go out and they just have conversation. We can cover more space that way, cover more people, but not detract from the conversations. I feel like the actual conversations we're having with these people are the most important part of this. Even more so than handing out the stuff that we're handing out. I'd also be able to work with some like soup kitchens, get out there and, hand out soup while we're doing it, food, so on and so forth, anything like that, drinks, tea, coffee, I don't know. Um, I think that would be awesome. But I also feel if it's a little bit bigger like that and we've got a bunch of groups out in the same area, splitting off and covering lots of space, it'll be a little bit easier to have a camera going. And instead of it being focused on one group, like here, this guy's reaction to us giving him stuff, this guy's reaction to our conversation, this conversation, I don't want it to be individual like that, but some footage of people out there talking just to show people what the atmosphere is like a little bit more, try to get more people involved. And every year I want this to get bigger and bigger. Maybe it gets to the point where it's an event that happens citywide. It's not just in one area where we split off into faction. It's like we split off into bigger factions. One person goes to Indianapolis, one person goes to Broad Ripple, one person goes to, wherever, Castleton, so on and so forth. And then those bigger factions then split up into smaller factions and cover larger space in those areas specifically. Seriously, we had an amazing time doing this. We learned a whole lot. It has spurred so many new ideas and given us an entirely new appreciation for people in general. Um, I hope that you join us next time, and I keep caring. Keep caring for people because there are people out there that need you just to care. They don't need anything else. They just need to know that you're there and that you care about them. Please have a fantastic day. Thank you for watching. And yeah, keep caring.